Hey everybody, welcome back to Majestic Collectibles. So, back to the viewer mailbag here, and this is back to Corey Colander, Coley Collectibles in Lakefield, Minnesota. And a couple more questions. These really aren't super related, but I'm gonna do them both in this video because, well, I don't know. I don't even I can't talk very long on some subjects. Shocking, I know. First one up here. I'm just going to read this to you again. Are war comics the next to get the romance treatment? If not, which genre? No. So to get a little background, probably at the end of COVID, 2021, 2022, Matt Baker, very well known good girl artist, did a lot of St. John's publishing books, did some military. Canteen Kate was a character he drew, not everyone, but quite a few in there. Did a lot of romance comics published by St. John's, and they've always been popular. I've always liked them. They've always been super scarce and hard to find. Finding one above good actually is challenging. And they just blew up. They were 200, maybe 400, and then they went up to about 1,200, 1,500. Now I've seen them kind of, depending on the cover, the better covers have probably settled down in that 600 to 700 range, and the more common stuff is probably, I don't know, say 300 to 500 now per issue. And they just exploded. People, I don't know if they're rediscovered or they just first discovered. I'm not sure, but people had a lot of free money to play with, and they went after Matt Baker art, and it is scarce. So I don't know as how I can be overly critical of their choice there, because you don't see it, and if you do see it, you can throw any price guide you can find away, because it's that scarce. That you pretty much are negotiating on. I don't want to say it's a unique item, but it's pretty hard to find. So whenever you find one, you pretty much are starting from scratch. The war comics, now especially DC War, GI Combat, Our Army at War, which is Sergeant Rock, even Our Fighting Forces, and some of the, I don't know, I never liked that one, but some of the other DC war titles have really picked up an interest over the last couple of years. The prices have gone up, but not like the Matt Baker stuff did, and I don't think that's going to happen for a couple of reasons. One, there's no good girl art. There's a little bit on the covers on some if you get Mademoiselle Marie and things like that, but it's really not in the Matt Baker universe, I guess, of good girl art. Also, they're a lot easier to find. Even the first Haunted Tank, the first Sergeant Rock, let's see, who else? Any of the first appearances, really, Enemy Ace, Unknown Soldier, which that's a lot newer. But I don't see them getting to that romance explosion level. They're not easy to find in high grade. The ones that got the war comics, honestly, read the heck out of the war comics. I do see a mid-grade, though. VG to find, say, maybe a 7. Those do pop up. Anything above, I would say, a 7, 7.5. Seems to be pretty tough on the Silver Age and earlier. Quality Comics, which is the publisher, is Quality with Blackhawk, and GI Combat also. Those are just, you get them in whatever grade you get them, if you can live with it or not, and strike a deal, because they're kind of not great, not well made. So no, the war comics are not going to get to the romance level. There's just too many of them, and there are a lot of collectors. I've always sold them, just like the Funny Animal books. There's always been a market for war books, some more than others, but they've always sold. But I don't see them really climbing this big hill, and just the quantity. The art, which I love Joe Kubert, I love Russ Heath. That would be my guy. Russ Heath, Reed Crandall for Blackhawk. They had some really fantastic artists on there, but none of them none of the Weird Menace covers, not really any Good Girl covers. So I think that limits the market because, again, we talked about this, 2 podcasts ago, where people don't read them anymore. And to me, war comics, you really got to read them. They have some great covers. They're very genre specific, but they have great covers. But really, I think a lot of folks, if you talk about collectors versus speculators, I think there's a lot more collectors buying the war books, and I think there's a lot more speculators buying the Matt Baker and the romance books, okay? So I think that's a huge difference there. As far as what genre is going to explode, I think it's kind of happened. I don't know. Again, I don't know if it's going to get to the this romance level or not, but that would be your horror books. Bronze Age horror, even the reprint books. A lot of Marvel had a reprint line, and they're great. I own them. I love the sets. But also Frankenstein, and you had Tomb of Dracula in there. You had Werewolf by Night was in there. And then, of course, Witching Hour from DC, House of Secrets, House of Mystery. Again, I think there are a lot of reader books in there because I like reading them. I'm one of the guys that collects those and has collected them for a long time. And I talked about this a little before. I mean, if you've read a couple of those sci-fi horror comics, you pretty much read every single one, but I keep coming back. I just love this stuff, But I have seen an uptick, in Bronze Age in particular. Neil Adams had a few covers in there. Bernie Wrightson, fantastic covers. I talked about him on the first Swamp Thing stuff. So that to me is taking a big jump. Are those books a long time in lower grade, VG and below, were in the $5 boxes, and now they're all $15 a piece for the most part, unless they're really, really rough. So I would say, at least short term, probably the horror stuff. I think I'm going to pre-code horror collector. Gosh, I mean, since I was a kid, so a long time, right? And I don't see that ever going out of style. But it is, again, kind of limited by its subject matter and by its covers, if you will. They have a lot of Weird Menace covers that are just goofy fun, but some people take them a little too seriously. Dr. Wortham, shall we say, for instance. And so I don't know. I think that's always going to kind of keep that again in the rearview mirror. The romance ones, they do have a lot of good art, bikini covers, some Good Girl stuff. Not necessarily all the Matt Baker style or anything, but pretty good covers, fun covers. Those old-fashioned drama covers, Marsha, oh, John, whatever it is. Just kind of kitschy, fun stuff. And again, I've never been a reader of that, but I almost guarantee you, well, I do guarantee you, if you read 2 of those, you've read every single romance comic ever made. It's like, what's the paperback, the Harlequin romance stuff? There's they change the names, they change the places, and that's kind of it. The plot's pretty much the plot, no matter what you do on it. So a lot of, I think, cover collectors for the romance versus the horror even, and then the I lost my train of thought there, the war books. So, what else would catch that? I don't know. In order to do that, it's got to have a mass market appeal, but short on supply. So high demand, low supply. That just kind of that guns and butter Econ 101 thing is what has to go on. I don't think it's going to be crime. That's been dead for a long time. The TV Western stuff, other than some Fawcett books and some Toby books, they had John Wayne. Toby was the publisher published the John Wayne books. There's a few of those that are kind of, holding up over time, but not a lot. And Funny Animals, it's got that hardcore, just like the Archie's, those teen books have kind of that hardcore group, if you will. I don't see any of that hitting mass market. And I don't know why Romance did. I think they're well done, especially the DC books. The Charlton books and ACG stuff, I got to tell you, boy, they do not look good. They did not put a ton of effort into it like DC did. But I just don't know why they exploded. Whether that's going to keep going, and I don't mess with them. The previous video talked to what are the things that you're looking for in a comic collection. And I didn't say romance comics because, I know I can sell them, but I just don't know how long that's gonna last. Yeah, and maybe it's come down now. I do not follow that segment of the market really closely. What's left? Sci-fi. A lot of people lump it with horror, but your Weird Science and Captain Atom and some other things. Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers. Again, I think that's got a die hard. Oh man, sorry about that. Die hard market core of followers. I don't see it blowing up. Even Star Wars and Star Trek. Even with the popularity of those two and Aliens and Predator, I am not seeing this overall Superman, Spider-Man, Batman level of interest. The one thing, and I don't know. So this is purely guesswork here. But if there's one thing that could blow up, is I think your cartoon stuff. And it's doing well now, but I really think it's poised for a blow up. And I'm talking Masters of the Universe, Transformers, Sonic the Hedgehog, Strawberry Shortcake, Smurfs, Mask. I'm trying to think. There's so many. Scooby Doo has been really, really good. A lot of people don't know about them, aren't aware that even 50 plus years ago, they were making, Flintstones and things like that for comics. And so I think if there's one genre that has a shot of blowing up, it's that, because I've always considered the cartoon books to be timeless. So, the dead guy books like Roy and Gene and even Hoppy or John Wayne or James Dean or Marilyn Monroe, it doesn't matter. Dead guy books, once that generation's gone, I don't think you're going to have a boom. I think, they'll always have a core, but nothing mass market on it. Scooby-Doo is going to live till the world dies. Will he be the most popular? Well, I can't say that, but yeah. You watch the old cartoons, even 60s, Herculoids, Johnny Quest, they're really good. And my kids have watched them, and it's not like watching an old Star Trek or the first Star Wars movies, and you're going like, "Wow, special effects have come a long ways, right?" So the animation, I don't think necessarily ages as badly as the Dead Guy books and the photo covered stuff and things like that. And I wonder if that's why the romance books have a certain built-in appeal, because even though it's stylized, it's something that it's just the whole pizza movie date night thing's not going to go out of style. I don't know. I'm just guessing on that for the romance stuff. But I think when you look for things that are going to blow up and be collectible, you look for things that are going to be around. And this is interesting to me because on the new collectibles, the virtual stuff, I talked about this, the Pokemon, the stuff on the phone, on the computer, the video games, for gosh sakes. Oblivion Remaster just came out. You probably don't play it. It's if you heard of Skyrim, it's the game before that. I'm telling you what, I just went bonkers. I played the original and they remastered it, and they wanted how much for it? Okay. It doesn't go out of style. Yeah, it gets dated as far as the graphics go, but when you have that story core and it's just fun to play, honestly, in another 20 years, they could remaster Oblivion again. I think it's something that they could keep doing as long as they do it well. Stick to the basics, stick to the story, don't get too cute with that stuff, what made it popular. and it's going to do well. I think cartoon comics fit into that genre. Scooby-Doo's been reinvented I don't know how many times. Batman, Spider-Man, X-Men 97, which was almost 30 years after the real X-Men 97. So that kind of stuff, Batman animated, I think that's it. If something's going to blow up and supersede the romance books, I think it's your TV streaming cartoon animated fantasy whatever stuff. I think that's it. I think that's going to work there. So that's it for that topic. The second topic, I told you I was going to double dip here. Geographically, where do collecting trends start, and how quickly do they reach the Midwest? You forgot a word there, Corey. Shame on you. It's gonna cost you a slice of Godfather's pizza for making me stumble. I'm just telling you. Or Chicken Ranch, either one. I'm good either way. I can be bought. I can be bribed pretty easy with food. This is interesting because this is something that I have noticed and experienced from day one for a long time. So to give you an example, geographic trends, and I'm going to go, well, it's everything, but I'm going to go with comics because that's what I started in. So I noticed when I did mail order, and I'm talking, take the ad out in the comics buyer's guide in the classified section way in the back, and you had this, and they sent you a check, you waited for it to clear, you shoved it. Anyway, I would say, I'm trying to get this right, it's probably around 85% of everything I ship out now, but comics in particular, go to the East or West Coast. And I would say the other 10% go to the Gulf Coast, Texas, Louisiana, Florida, in that area. And if I did my math right, what's that leave? 5%. That's just kind of scattered all over the, North America, international. So a lot of my stuff goes to the East Coast. Out of that 85% of my stuff going to the East or West Coast, I'm going to say 20% goes out west, and so that'd be 60% of what I sell. At least 60% goes out somewhere along the eastern seaboard of the United States. Do the trends start there? Yeah. For comics, a lot of them were published out there. A lot of them were in the industry out there. That's kind of where the industry was big. The other big spots are actually Wisconsin and Minnesota. You had Racine, Wisconsin had Dell and Whitman publishers. St. John's was up in the Twin Cities. I don't know if it was Minneapolis or St. Paul, one of those two. And there's a few others sprinkled. So yeah, I mean, for comics, absolutely. And it scares me a lot because nobody's getting younger. And when I have that high a percentage of what I'm selling go to one area, that is eventually going to expire. Everything has an expiration date. I don't care if it's people. I don't care if it's collectibles. I don't care what it is. There's an expiration date. And it's kind of like putting all your eggs in one basket. And what's going to happen when the Eastern Seaboard isn't buying this stuff, and I'm going to include action figures in that because I send an awful lot of action figures out to Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, the Carolinas, Massachusetts, and Florida, which, they're Gulf Coast and East Coast, both, basically. It's going to affect a lot of collectibles. A lot of collectibles. When you've got something that funnels that much stuff, and I'm a small state, right? We're in Iowa. We had a lot more people in the, Depression and earlier than we have now. It was a pretty large state. I think we had 12 electoral votes at one time. We're, is it 4 now? 5? I can't remember. But, so, we've shrunk up a lot population-wise, and a lot of those folks, they moved. They moved to Florida. They moved to Texas. They moved to Arizona. They moved. They're not here physically. And, I think they took a lot of that stuff with them, plus the built-in interest in those locations. The West Coast had its own publishing. Pacific Publishing was out there. Marvel and DC and certainly were there in great numbers. But they also had, a lot of underground stuff started on the West Coast, the Robert Crumb stuff, which a lot of that was actually East Coast based, but they got it published out West. Anyway, it was kind of all over the place. But geography does make a difference, and if you just follow the numbers, the population numbers, you pretty much see where most of the stuff is going. So it's all around the perimeter of the U.S. for the most part. I'm near Chicago, which I don't know. They're still the third or fourth largest city in the U.S. I do not ship a lot there. I do not ship a lot to the Twin Cities or Kansas City or St. Louis, the Upper Midwest, Detroit, Indianapolis. Those are all very, very large populated areas, but I do not ship a lot there. There's just whether it be action figures, anything I sell, the model kits, the comics, non-sport trading cards, which is not a big part of my business, but any of that, most of it does not go to the Upper Midwest. I don't know. I don't know if it's a demographic thing, if it's just, they're not collecting thing, which is what I suspect. And, they were hot when they were made, 50 plus years ago. They were certainly buying comics in all those places, and they're still around. But I can't sell if I do a big show, or I don't big shows anymore. But even if I do a medium-sized show here, the stuff that's being bought here is not the same stuff that I am shipping out to the East, West, or Gulf Coast. So yeah, geography. Even in 2025, with all the technology between eBay or auction sites, online websites, whatever it is, even with all of that, I'm just noticed that, and that's not a trend that's changed. So you would think over time, these collectibles would start selling in other places. No, it's pretty much stuck there. So if those markets change even a little bit, I'm going to notice. I am going to notice that a lot. How quickly they reach the Midwest on these trends. It used to be for a long time. It was about 2 to 2.5 years, and I'm going to kind of pre-internet. So we're going back to the 80s and early to mid 90s, and if there's anything trending, it took about 2.5 years to trickle out here. But now, and I'm going to use the romance comics, the Matt Baker stuff. It got lit up. I think, from what I can tell, I didn't have a lot of it, but everything I had went to the East Coast. Every single piece, which is like 5, so not a lot. But that trend got picked up. And I think it probably takes, for full saturation, I would say, I think it probably takes about a week these days. Whether it be Pokemon explosion, trading cards, sports cards, junk wax explosion during COVID, any of the collectibles explosions. And I think this is driven by what you guys are watching right here. Not me, obviously. I'm a nobody. But social media. YouTube. I think a lot of people sat in front of the YouTube in some way, shape, or form, started looking this stuff up, and the influencers had a lot of influence on what trends, what's hot, what's not, whatever it is. And so it does not take long. It just doesn't take long. I don't think that's good. I think trends really play into the boom and bust cycle of anything. Meme stocks, GameStop stocks ran into this trending, this influencer, this meme kind of thing. So it doesn't take long now, and I don't think that's good. I think people get burned when this happens, and they get frustrated and they get upset, and they never collect again. Or they just, they've got a really, really bad taste in their mouth, and they're going to do something else. So this trending thing and the speed of this stuff picking up and spreading, I think really plays into this boom and bust cycle. It's just not good. People jump on these bandwagons and bad things happen. Do it because you enjoy it. Be a collector, not an investor or speculator. Because I think you'll you'll have a lot less angst and you'll enjoy it a lot more than that. So that's what I've got on these two from Corey. We're slowly getting it down. I've probably got a page of the 3.5 pages or close to it. Before I go, I did add a show, but not real soon. August 3 and 4 QC Toy Show. I believe it's back in East Moline. I literally just got the invoice on it and paid it, so I'll update that on the website and Facebook page here. It's no big rush because, like I said, it's not till I think the first week in August or something like that. So I did get one more show added, but boy, we're still months out. It's not even it's not quite May yet, and I'm booking shows in August, so we're still 3 months away. Memorial Day weekend is the next one up in Spirit Lake, Dickinson County Fairgrounds right now. New building in the expo building way on the east side. It's the one with indoor plumbing and air conditioning. So, at least by July, you'll probably be in there with the weather and stuff. So that's it. Send me your ideas. Send me your comments. Thanks for watching, guys.